We are on.
We are on. Oh, it's spinning.
Oh, we're live.
There we go.
Hello.
Hi. I think we're live. I'm just making sure. Yep, it says live. We're making sure that we're in the camera so we can see everyone.
How do you know when people are here?
They'll come on and they'll comment right here. This is Raiah's first live, so she's
I don't
like,
know anything.
So you want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Raiah Dona, your Miss Universe V International Junior. This is my mom.
Hi, I'm Kimmy. I'm Raiah's mom, and today we're going to be talking about what are we talking about? Talents. We're going to be talking about talents. So, and it's kind of fun and interesting a little bit about talents. We're going to talk a lot about, how to recognize your talents. A lot of people kind of say, well, I'm not really talented. I don't really have a talent. I don't know, but all of us have some kind of talent, and then we want to help you recognize them, and then kind of talk a little bit how you can better yourself and cultivate those talents that we have. So first, we kind of wanted to share a little bit about Miss Universe V and Nations Nationals pageants. Raiah, as she said, she is the Miss Universe V International Junior. For 2020, and I was actually a current title holder as well in 2018, and now I'm your Mrs. Longevity. So great pageant system. We absolutely love MUI and UNN. They've kind of grown in the last couple of years, so we kind of wanted to share a little bit. Excuse me, I have my notes right here, so I don't miss anything. But we kind of want to share a little bit about how they grew in the past couple of years, and a little bit about them. So I actually, after this, I will go ahead and type their websites so you can kind of check them out in the comment section. So if you have any questions, you can always visit them and check their websites out, and I'll put that in the comment section. So there's 3 tiers of the pageant program. There's the Miss Universe V International title, which is what Raiah is. I would say is. And they are the highest score of the competition, and they have a junior, senior, and intermediate division. So Raiah is the junior division. And then there's Nation National side and they're the divisional winners. And there's also a Miss Universe V International title, which is actually what we were when we first, well, I was when we were first part of MUI. So they've grown, and it's great because you can grow within the program. They focus a lot of their time on, which I think is very, very important. And we do a lot of community service. So getting out in your community and how to do that, and just wanting to be able to, support your community and those around you. And I actually just absolutely love that about the program. I think that's as a parent, that's a very important thing to do and to instill into our young adults and children. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. And now we're going to kind of talk a little bit, actually a lot of it, about talents and what they are. So what kind of comes to your mind, Raiah, when you think talents? Do you think usually like what, just
singing and dancing?
Singing and dancing, right? That's probably how a lot of you guys hear that and think that is when you think, oh, well, to have a talent, like at a talent show, people generally will sing or dance or sometimes play an instrument. And not all of us do that, and that's okay. And don't think that you have to do those things in order to be talented or have a talent. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to either a talent show or the talent portion in a pageant and seen some amazing different talents out there. What are some of the things that you saw, Raiah? You remember?
Ventriloquism,
Ventriloquism.
Tumbling. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, there was a lot. There's ventriloquism. She said tumbling. I've seen magic shows. I've seen robots or science experiments. I've seen martial artists, and I want to say, I just kind of want to go back. I know all of us are pageant girls, but for instance, if you are a part of the pageant system, we went to National American Miss Nationals in 2018 in California. And there was a girl that she had the most unique and amazing talent. She was a martial artist and she got up, she had a standing ovation. Her talent was hands down. It was something that, I mean, we've all seen, on TV, Karate Kid, martial art, but she just put on a show. And that's really what talent is entertaining, and kind of each of us have a God-given talent, and sometimes we just don't recognize it. Maybe you're really good at being doing magic tricks, or you can juggle, or maybe you have a knack for memorizing things or solving a Rubik's Cube or something like that. So these types of things can all be talents, and we want to say think outside the box. So all of us have some kind of talent, and maybe it's talking, maybe it's standing up and talking in front of a crowd or giving a motivational speech. Some of us are really good at that. So think outside the box when you think talents. And now we kind of want to talk a little bit about practicing your talent. So once you recognize you have a talent, and some of us are gifted with something, but it doesn't matter how, even if you're gifted with it, you still have to practice it. That's a very, very important thing. And as a mom, I'm always telling Raiah here to practice her talents. And she's learning also, to be self-motivated and to practice her own talents. And she will talk a little bit about her different talents that she does have. Her first talent she started with was cheer. And just like cheer or soccer or basketball or whatever, sport, we'll just say sport you have. And sports can be talents too, by the way. Whatever coach or teacher that you have, maybe you go to practice for 2 hours, or 2 hours twice, 2-3 times a week, and you come home. That's practice. That's great. But you have to think that you have to be consistent, and you got to keep practicing your talent. So one of Raiah's first talents was cheerleading. How long have you been cheering?
6 years.
6 years. So right after she turned 4, like right after she was a little itty bitty baby, she was cheerleading. And even then we'd come home and we'd call what we call cheer homework. So she would do, homework or drills or whatever. What are some of the things that you do for cheer at home? Like
I have to do practice. My jump drill. I have to do my jumps. I have to tumble, and I have to do my body positions for flying.
Yes. So she has a lot of homework that we do on a daily at home, and it's everything. Just like you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. She gets up in the morning and she does her daily routine, and part of her daily routine is stretching. So it's cultivating, and it doesn't have to be, a long 2-hour practice, like you would on those days you actually do practice. But it's also like getting up and doing something little towards that every day. Maybe you're a basketball player and you go outside and you have a basketball hoop and you just throw some free throws for maybe like 10 minutes, It's just a little bit of something you do every single day to better self. Maybe it's even just reading a book about your talent and how to learning more about it. So a lot of that is practice, and to better cultivate and to grow on your talents. Make sure that you're always practicing your talents, because that is where you're going to get better and better and better, and be like a professional at what you do, whether it be a sport or like I said, juggling or whatever it is that you might do. So homework, I say, your talent homework is always important. Should be, even if it's just a little 10 minutes or 30 minutes or however long it takes you, just a little bit every single day to practice on those talents. So kind of going back to Raiah's first talent, we kind of talked to was cheerleading. And we talked a little bit about, her cheer homework and what she does. The next kind of thing that we kind of experienced and kind of walked into were pageants. And you were what? 6? I think she was 6. I think she was 6 years old when she kind of got into the talents and as far as pageants go. And those of you who aren't familiar with pageants, I didn't grow up doing pageants at all. So kind of going backwards, cheerleading, I had been involved in cheerleading for 20 plus years of my life. So as a mom, I knew how to help her, and I knew what drill she needed to do. I coached it for many years, so I could help her with that. With pageants, I really did not. So that was a little bit different for me. And just like you have a basketball coach or a softball coach or a soccer coach or a cheer coach, you also have pageant coaches. I didn't know that when we first walked in. And we started, she was interested and told me, Mom, I want to try pageants. And I didn't know you had a pageant coach. I didn't know that was a thing. So, going out, finding either a teacher or a coach or someone to teach you and help you learn about your talent. And they'll actually they're the ones that might give you the homework like we talked about. When it was cheer, I kind of was the teacher and the coach because I knew a lot about that. But after that, when she started exploring in other talents that I really couldn't help her with as a parent, it's important to also, seek out the professionals or the coaches or the teachers in those talents that you might have. If you do sing, a vocal coach, or if you do play a musical instrument, a teacher to help you with those things, that's very, very important. We actually had a pageant coach that kind of was like, hey, let's point you in this direction. And they would give her, then we added on to that. We had pageant homework. What are some of the things that you did for pageant homework?
I had to do like my interview. I had to practice interview questions, and I had to do my introduction. I had to do my walks. I had to do all the stuff you would do in a normal pageant, but not as long as it took.
So we had a lot of pageant homework, and I would say it was interesting for me because I would sit in these pageant sessions coaching when she had pageant coaching, and I'd be learning too. So again, this is something that I wasn't familiar with. So I would sit there and I would learn. And so when we went back, she was younger. So if you guys are older, maybe Mom doesn't necessarily have to be there. But again, she was 6, so I kind of had to sit there. And so when her teacher, her pageant coach, would tell me, hey, she needs to work on this, and this at home, it was my job, because she was little, to go home and practice that with her. And so we, again, taking that, and we'd have homework, and we'd practice a little bit every single day. We'd even make games out of it. I remember she talks about interview questions in the pageant world. We have an interview session. Sometimes it's in front of a panel of judges. So there'll be like a long desk, and there'll be maybe 4 or 5 judges there, and they'll ask questions. And sometimes it's a one-on-one interview, like you would go for a job interview, and you would go and sit there, and they would, talk to you and and ask you questions. So we'd make games, like we'd have a list of 100 questions, and we just practice talking and how to talk and getting out there. So again, working little things into your everyday life on how to practice in this practice, and adding that into your daily routines. Through pageants is kind of interesting. Through pageants, we have learned that Raiah had several other talents that honestly I had no clue about. One of them is singing and dancing, and not dancing, singing and acting. And I laughed so hard when I remember the day that her pageant coach came to me, and she was like, I think it's time for Raiah to start, looking into the talent portion of the competition. Usually in different pageant systems, it's not required. The talent portion isn't required. And they're like, does she have any talents? And I'm like, well, she cheers. I was like, she can do some flips. And they're like, oh, that's great. That's a great talent. But is there anything else she can do too? Like, because you can have to enter twice in the talent portion. And they asked, is there anything else she can do? And I was like, yeah, no, I think that's it. Again, going back to what we talked about first, I wasn't thinking outside the box. I was like, well, I'm assuming, Miss America and all these other pageant systems, they usually sing, dance, and play an instrument. So I don't know what other talent there is. And she's like, well, let's start with those 3. And I was like, well, I know she can't sing. I remember telling her pageant coach, she cannot sing. And I said, we at the time, Frozen had just gone out, and there was this huge Frozen craze. I don't know if you remember that, the whole Let It Go. Yeah, that's what my 4-year-old and 5 and 6-year-old was singing all the time. So I was like, oh, no, she can't sing. She can't sing. And here I am, like, talking about this. And again, this just proves that you don't know your true talents until, you try them. Yeah, exactly. Try them. You never know. And so her pageant coach kind of took her off to the side and just like, what do you like to listen to? And what did you
Let it
Yeah,
go.
let it go. But she said, "What what artist do you like listening to?" And you told her,
Frozen.
well, Frozen, but she still
Elsa.
told her Taylor Swift. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she said Taylor Swift, and she put on a Taylor Swift song, and she was singing, and she's like, I noticed that Raiah can enunciate her words really well, and she actually can carry a tune. Now she needs a little work, like she needs to learn where to breathe in music and how to sing and that sort of thing, but she has a knack for it. And I'll be honest, I laughed. I said, no, there's no way. I was like, there is no way this kid can sing. And I literally was in denial. So her pageant coach kind of laughed and she said, well, here, go home. And she gave us our first singing homework assignment. And what song was that?
Ariel.
Ariel, Part of Your World from
World.
Little Mermaid. And she said, go and learn this song. And it was through that where I was like, okay, we did our homework. I'll listen, even though I don't think she's really going to be able to sing this. We went home, and it wasn't until we got home and I'm like, okay, well, you have homework. Let's do your homework and her singing homework. And she realized, or I learned through that she actually can memorize and she can carry a tune. But I also learned that she can memorize the words to songs fairly quick. She was only 6 at the time, and she learned that song. And I thought, I guess I could have noticed it when she was singing Frozen, but we would sing that and hear that song like 4,000 times a day. So, but we learned through practicing through the homework that I was kind of like, holy cow, she really can sing. Like she can. And it's things like that I want to let you guys know is don't just cut something off and say, I've never played an instrument in life. There's no way that I'm gonna be good at it. You don't know until you try. You really don't know. So make sure you really think outside the box. And if something interests you and you want to try it, by all means, try it. You never know that it might be something you're good at. Again, we also talked a little bit about acting in some of her pageant systems that she does. There's an acting portion in it. And it was actually her pageant coach, the same one, was like, she's really good at picking up and memorizing things really quick, like an introduction, like Raiah said. An introduction, those you don't know, is when you get up on stage. Some pageants have you get up on stage and hold a mic and give a 30 to 60 second introduction up on stage, a little bit about you, and what you do and all those types of things. And those are things that need to be memorized. And she would memorize things really quick for her age. And I noticed that just memorizing things like that was actually a talent. And I was like, So she was the one, our pageant coach kind of said, maybe she could memorize, like an acting script, like a commercial, like a quick 30-second to 1 minute commercial. And it was through these things that we realized, hey, she really can act. Hey, she really can do this. She has a big personality, and why not? And those are types of things, like I say over and over again, you never know what your talents are. And they really can be anything. They can be getting up on stage and talking. It can be singing, it can be dancing. It can be a different type of dance. It can be singing and dancing.
Hip hop.
It could, any type of dancing too. It doesn't have to be like lyrical dancing or jazz dance. It could, there's tap dancing, and there's so many things. And we each have talents that we are born with. And sometimes people don't even know they have a talent until you try it. So that's one of the most important things that we wanted to share with you guys is don't be afraid to try new things and practice them. And what's also really important that I've seen Raiah, I'll let her talk a little bit about it, is when I told her, hey, we're going to try this. And she is a natural born perfectionist, kind of like me. Some of us are. And when you try a new talent, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, you're like, hey, I can do it very easy. Or sometimes you get to a point in your talent where it gets a little bit harder, where now you're being challenged a little bit more. For her, acting, memorizing a 15-second commercial was a lot harder than now we do auditions. We do like Nickelodeon and Disney auditions. And these auditions that she has to memorize are like, what, 4 or 5 pages long?
Remember the row? That whole page was only me.
Yep. And so she she is has to memorize a lot of stuff. So now she's at the point where it's actually it's I don't want to say it's harder. I want to say it's hard because but it is a challenge now. It's gotten to the point where it's not just okay, we have 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds to memorize something. There are scripts and they come and they come and they come, and we're auditioning all the time. So those are things that practicing and all these auditions, and we don't get every audition that we every part that we audition for. But these auditions are helping her in our practice for when she does land a role, that those types of things from auditioning and playing different parts, a serious girl or a sassy girl or an older girl or a younger girl, an older sibling and a younger sibling, and playing all these different parts has helped her. So again, that's all part of the practice. And we want to talk a little bit about goal setting before we leave. So goal setting is kind of talked a little bit throughout all of it, but goal setting can be big and small. And we actually encourage you to set big goals and small goals. So what was one of your first goals? Do you remember when we first started singing? Because she had practiced, I want to say 6 months before she got up on stage and sang for the first time. So what was one of the goals? You remember what we said your goal was? I mean, this was a while ago. She's 9 now. So one of her first goals when she was 6, this is 3 years ago, for that was we just wanted to get up there and sing. We just wanted her to get up there and not be nervous. Well, I don't want to say not be nervous, because being nervous is something that's going to come natural. And that's okay. It's okay to be nervous, but you want to be prepared to go up there from all the practice you've been doing. But our goal was to get up there, get through it, and do it with a smile. And I want to say nail it. Just hit it wasn't a real hard song. So I want to say nail all the songs. She memorized the words. Again, she was also 6. And nail all that. And when she came out and she did it, we're like, awesome, that was great. You made your goal. Now, the next goal after that
to walk on stage
was how to learn to walk and to present or perform more is a better word, perform on stage. So she wasn't, the first time she sang, she just had the microphone. She wasn't even holding the microphone. It was just on a stand, and she stood there and sang, because that was her first goal. We weren't going in to win the talent system. We were going in the talent system, talent portion. We were going in because she had a little goal. She's wanted to try this talent. And I think that's also important too. Not if you are doing a talent for some kind of talent show or part of a pageant, it's not always necessarily about winning. It's about learning and growing through your talent. So the next goal that she had was learning to walk around on stage and how to hold a microphone correctly. So there is a correct way to hold a microphone.
You don't hold it with 2 hands or like that.
Yeah, you want to show your face, and there are certain ways. If you hold it too low, they can't hear you. So her goal was it was same song, learn to hold the microphone correctly and how to kind of present and walk on stage. And when you hold the microphone, a lot of times, you use the other hand, and there are motions that you do. So that was our next goal. The next goal after that was we were kind of good on that. Then we kind of started moving up to harder songs. And we changed the song, and we got a little bit of a harder song, and that's kind of how you can reach goals and do it that way. Maybe if it's basketball, working on free throws, softball, there's different drills. And maybe it just might be, learning to speak up on stage or memorizing something or playing a harder instrument or a different song on an instrument and those types of things. So make sure you set goals along the way. I think that's very, very important. We've always had goals in every aspect of Raiah's different talents that she has, whether it be pageants or cheer or acting or singing or whatever your talents are. And lastly, we kind of want to talk about how your parents, or if you are a parent watching, how you guys can kind of help and do all this. Some of you guys are a little bit older. I know some of you guys are maybe like, 12 to 18, are teenagers, and you don't necessarily need mom there all the time. But they're still there. So don't be afraid to ask mom and dad and share with them. And a lot of times, and I say this as a parent, there are not all, there are free things that you can do. There are free programs that you can learn your different talents. But at the same time, there are some things that I do with Raiah that are free, and there's some things that I pay for. I pay for different private classes for her to do cheer, tumbling, and stunting with. And make sure you guys, if you're serious about it, especially if mom and dad are paying for it, or even if you're paying for it, you don't want to waste anyone's money or time. So make sure you take it seriously if that's something that you really want to do. Parents, there are going to be times, and kids, there are going to be times that you want to just give up and quit. If this is truly your passion and truly what you enjoy doing, I think that it's important that you keep pushing through, and make sure, parents, you are the support system. Make sure you're there. Sometimes you have to be able to remind them. There are times where Raiah she has a goal set for cheer or something. She's like, I really want to do this. I'm like, okay, awesome. And she's like, Mom, I really want to go, talk on the phone with my friends right now. And I'll be like, I'm not saying you can't, but how bad do you want that goal again? And she'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot, so reminding them of those goals and being self-motivated and different, helping them and remind them. And if you're older, again, remember there are going to be times that you don't want to practicing. And I do remind this Raiah all the time. And I tell her all the time, sometimes practice isn't always fun. Sometimes it's tough, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you just,
for sure.
yeah. And sometimes you just, it's like, but again, if you are really, really, you have a mindset and you have a goal, definitely go for it. So parents, be there for the support system. If you are, a teenager or kid watching, ask your parents to be that support system, and show them, and do your part too. And lastly, we kind of want to wrap everything up, encourage everyone to step out, and don't be afraid to try your new talents. You never know. Brainstorm and see ask some friends and be like, maybe your talent is telling jokes. You know what those people are called? Comedians. Mm-hmm. That's their talent, and they get up and they can make a living off of it. It is great. Some of these people, they can get up. Some of them are on Facebook. I'm sure some of you follow them. They get up and that's their natural talent. So you never know. You can ask a friend, be like, is there anything that I'm really good at? Maybe ask a mom or a best friend or a dad or a cousin, and be like, is there anything that you've noticed that I can? Because sometimes it's hard to be like, I don't do anything special, but other people might see it. So we encourage you to think outside the box and have fun and practice those talents and grow from them. And we'll go ahead and if you have any questions, as we're wrapping up, you can go ahead and type them if we finish this live before that. And you guys, I didn't get to answer your questions. I'll type back on them and get them on there. But again, we wanted to say thank you for joining us. And we had lots of fun. Raiah, anything you want to say to them about talents?
Don't give up. If you want to do it, do it.
If you want to do it, do it.
You never know.
Because I know, like I said, she really didn't want to, I don't want to say didn't want to, but she really was like, I can't sing, Mom. She liked doing it. That was the other thing. She liked singing, but she didn't think.
I thought I sounded horrible.
Yeah, she didn't think that she was like, that was a talent of hers. She enjoyed it, but not saying that she didn't like singing, but she enjoyed it. But she wasn't like, it's not like I'm super good at it.
Not
or
like
special.
Ariana Grande good.
She's like, I'm not like a singer or anything. But if you enjoy it, practice it and get yourself out there and have fun and grow from it. So thank you for joining us, and bye.